Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. For today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the brand new Jurassic World Dominion Super Colossal GIGANOTOSAURUS, or Gigantosaurus as I personally like to call this guy, and we're definitely starting off big here over on the channel. This is in fact my first ever Jurassic World / Jurassic Park review, and we're starting off with what could just potentially be one of the biggest figures that Mattel have put out, at least in terms of their Super Colossal range. Now of course this guy is a part of the all-new Jurassic World Dominion toy line, and I've picked up pretty much everything from some of those first initial waves. So for those of you who wish to see more of this over on the channel, definitely be sure to let me know down in the comment section below. Now we'll start off firstly by taking a very quick look here at the packaging. As per tradition with some of these other super colossal figures, you can see that you can in fact actually touch the front half of the figure, and this guy is massive. I believe he's something like 39 inches, so definitely a really big piece. As we just turn our attention here to the back of the box, you can see a whole host of promo images showcasing that this guy can in fact devour, I believe it's 20 mini raptors or 20 mini dinosaurs in general. So with all that being said, I'm definitely really excited to crack this guy out of the packaging. It does appear as if though this is going to be one of the big bads for the upcoming movie, so let's see whether or not Mattel have once again knocked it out of the park. And so here we have the Jurassic World Dominion Super Colossal Giganotosaurus cracked open and out of the packaging. And my, does this figure sure live up to the name of Super Colossal. It is gigantic, and I'm really hoping that it has as much of a presence on screen as it's having here in figure form. You can see as we just turn our attention here to the side, this could in fact actually be one of the best Super Colossal figures that Mattel have as of yet put out. I just think the paintwork as well as the sculpt in particular is so nicely done. As we actually bring the camera in here for a closer look, you can truly begin to appreciate some of that awesome reptilian skin texture detail, and just where the head is alone, I think they've packed in a remarkable amount of paint as well as sculpted in detailing. The attention where the eye is concerned looks great. They have in fact actually painted it gold with a really precisely applied iris. And you can once again see some really awesome sculpt work where the nose is concerned. We've got various different embedded scars within the actual skin of this figure. And you can see this very spiky nature around the outside of the head. And that is something that you'll also see later on where the spine is concerned. But the black paint looks fantastic. Once again, we've got more of that scar detailing scattered all the way throughout the body of this particular figure. And then as we just come back round here to the jaw, absolutely mesmerizing considering it is a super colossal figure. The jaw is enormous, and I'll be sure to showcase its devouring feature later on in the video, but you can see that massive black void of where you can in fact actually pack in a fair few figures in there, so that's definitely super awesome. But as we just work our way down to the lower section of the jaw, you can see the teeth look just as detailed as the front set, and we've got this really wicked, almost slimy detailing where the tongue is concerned. Overall, such a nicely sculpted as well as painted looking figure, and even on the side of the jaw you can once again see some really deep scarring. So really am hoping to see this particular dinosaur go head to head with some other rivals within the movie. But then as we just take a look here at the side of the neck, you can once again see more of that fantastic black paint detail. We've got these really awesome almost spiky scales at the top to, I guess, give you the impression of the spine, and there for the neck once more you can see various different digs in the actual skin itself. I think the almost creasing effect that we've got going on looks super realistic. And then as we just work our way down to the arms, these look just as great as the rest of the figure. Sadly, they have decided to leave the fingernails unpainted, considering it is one of their more pricier figures. Personally, I would have loved to have seen maybe just some black applied to the tips of those fingernails, but overall it's still definitely a super awesome looking figure. And then for the side of the torso, you you can once again see more of that scar detail, as well as the black paint that's been applied to the top section of the body, and the thighs are just thick and loaded with loads and loads of different scarring. Overall, it's such a fantastic looking sculpt. I may in fact actually go over this with perhaps a dry brush just to give some more weathering to those scars, but you can see that skin texture detail looking super authentic. Considering we're dealing with a much bigger figure, it really does upon first glance actually kind of catch you off guard. It really does look incredibly realistic, much like the fingertips. Sadly, the toenails are unpainted, but overall the paint and the sculpt work, at least for the top section, looks really impressive. And you can see there for the tail, we've got more of that black bleeding onto the top, as well as some really nice scale detail. Overall, just such an impeccable looking figure. I'm really blown away with how this guy, or should I say girl, has turned out, and once again cannot wait to see how she turns out on the big screen. Now, turning to the articulation of the Giganotosaurus, as to be expected from some of the previous Super Colossal releases, it's pretty much exactly the same as what's come before it. So as far as the actual head is concerned, we get a fantastic range in regards to the jaw, so it can open to an incredibly wide extent, definitely allowing you to devour an entire plethora of different figures out there. And as you would expect, it can also close, and when you have the jaw actually closed, it creates just such a different look for the character. It looks so awesome. It looks equally as good closed as it does opened, in my opinion. We do in fact also see a head swivel, so you can get the head rotating the full 360, which once again does just allow you to get this figure into some slightly more dynamic poses, instead of if perhaps it was just stuck into place. It is indeed very stiff to do, however. As far as the arms are concerned, these can in fact actually rotate the full 360 all the way around, so as per tradition with some of the previous figures that we've seen. And in regard to the wrist articulation, these two can also rotate, so you can have the hands almost facing upwards, or of course facing downwards. The hips are on incredibly heavy duty ratchet joints, so you can shift them all the way up to make the Giganotosaurus looking as if though perhaps it's just about to pounce on its enemy, or you can lower it all the way down perhaps for an almost stealth attack, which I actually think is my preferred look for the figure. I just think that looks so awesome. And when you actually pose that head off to the side with the jaw open, this definitely does look like a formidable foe. And then of course, to round things off more or less, we do get a hinge joint side to side for the tail. Sadly, it doesn't appear, at least here on my copy, to be able to rotate the full 360. There merely is just a swivel at the tip of the tail, but as mentioned previously, it's what we've come to expect with these figures. And then to finish things off, the foot can of course rotate the full 360. So overall, definitely a more than adequate range of motion. Had they incorporated, say, knee joints, considering this figure is as big as it is, it would no doubt cause for some serious stability issues. And overall, I definitely think the almost pre-pose that the legs have been sculpted out of really does allow you to get this figure into some pretty cool looking poses. Now, turning to the main feature of this Super Colossal Giganotosaurus, of course this figure has the capability of in fact actually devouring a whole host of different figures. Now on the back of the box, it does suggest that this figure can in fact actually pack 20 minis inside her. I personally haven't got any of those, sadly, so we'll be using the Amber Collection 6-inch scaled Ian Malcolm, and I found this to work an absolute treat. So we can just take him, poke him all the way down into that massive hollow void, and boom, he's gone and literally cannot be seen anywhere. I'll be sure to showcase how to take him out in just a second. Now, as far as other smaller dinosaurs are concerned, I only really had this small T-Rex, and this just does not fit at all, sadly. So in regards to other dinosaur figures, I do think that it is really just going to be those minifigures that were suggested on the back of the box that can stay down there. Otherwise, you may in fact actually find yourself to have a choking hazard for our Giganotosaurus, or perhaps even wedge them in there. Now, in order to, of course, extract them, basically, they do poop them out. So as we just come here to the underside of the belly, we can drop down this hatch, which allows for easy enough access to just pull the figures out. And personally, I haven't found any issues of any of the figures that can actually go down the mouth having any issues coming out of the other end. So that is definitely something super cool to see. Now, turning to some size comparisons, sadly, the actual pond that I've got the Giganotosaurus on was just way too small to accommodate two Super Colossal figures. So for example, I've brought out here, I believe it's the Legacy Collection T-Rex, and you can just see how significantly bigger this Giganotosaurus is in comparison. So most certainly worthy of that Super Colossal title. Here for another comparison, I've once again brought out Ian Malcolm, so you've got that almost 6-inch scale comparison to the Super Colossal figure, and here we have him next to the Carnotaurus. So definitely a massive figure. I actually thought the Carnotaurus was quite a big release, but these Super Colossal figures really do take it to the next level as far as scale is concerned. And for one final comparison, here I have it compared next to a 6-inch scaled Amber Collection Raptor, and you can see as you would expect from this figure, absolutely towers over pretty much any of the other Mattel offerings besides the other Super Colossal figures. And so, some final thoughts for the Jurassic World Dominion Super Colossus Giganotosaurus. Overall, it's definitely an outstanding looking piece. It's really awesome. I think the attention to detail that Mattel continue to pack into some of these Super Colossal figures really is next level. They look fantastic, and the Giganotosaurus here is no exception. Considering this is just a bigger dinosaur in general, unlike the previous Super Colossal figures that have been the likes of, say, Blue, this could in fact actually be in scale with some of the other figures. So I do think it's going to appeal to a much wider audience when in comparison to some of their previous offerings. I think the attention to detail is fantastic. I'm a huge fan of some of the sculpted in scarring. I really do think that is such a nice touch, and as far as the actual paintwork to the head and the sculpt work is concerned, it just looks absolutely fantastic. I think the entire devouring gimmick, while simple enough, definitely is incredibly effective, and whilst the articulation isn't perhaps as great as some of their smaller scale figures, I definitely think you get a more than decent enough range, especially considering just how gigantic and how heavy these pieces are. If they were to pack in more joints, it would no doubt in fact actually cause for some stability issues. So overall, I definitely think this is a super nice pickup. For those of you who are collecting the Jurassic World Dominion line, then this is definitely going to be one to add to the collection, as of course it is rumored to be one of the big bads of the movie, and will no doubt, just by going from that very brief glimpse we saw in the trailer, go down as being one of the baddest dinosaurs seen in Jurassic history. As always, I thank you guys all so much for watching. I'd love to know down in the comment section below what you guys thought of this review, and whether or not you would in fact actually like me to take a look at more Jurassic World Dominion figures over on the channel. I thank you all so much for watching, and until my next video, I'll see you then. Thanks for watching.